Hey guys, Josh McDarris here. Today I wanted to show you how to color grade your footage inside of Adobe Lightroom. So this is a technique that's been around for a while, but a friend of mine, Brian Black, actually reminded me of it the other day, and I wanted to show you how to do it. So the first thing we have is this clip of a skull, and this was actually for an event that I shot recently. And a few things I want to do with this. I want to see if I can bring down the highlights, bring out some detail in the grass, and reduce the highlights in this hat over here. It's a bit overexposed. Also, I'm thinking maybe add some grain, maybe a vignette, drop the saturation, maybe up the contrast. Now, while all of these things are things you can do inside of Adobe Premiere Pro, there's some features in Lightroom that are just incredibly powerful and easy to use in terms of color grading. So from here, we want to export this skull clip so that we can import it into Lightroom. Now, this can be done from Adobe Media Encoder. It can be done from After Effects. You can do it with a single clip or an entire project. Here I have my clip inside of a sequence already, so I'm going to make sure the sequence is selected. Go to File, Export, Media, and I'm going to go up here. I actually already have my format as a TIFF sequence. You can choose JPEG as well, for instance, but TIFFs tend to be a little less lossy, so I'm going to go with a TIFF sequence. Preset HD 720 24 frames, that's correct. I'm going to save this. I'm going to create a new folder for my sequenced file and call it skull TIFF sequence. All my other settings look okay, so I'm going to export. Now let's go over to Lightroom, and under the library module, I'm going to hit import. And I'm going to go to my folder where my skull sequence is. And here are all my files. Now what this has done is it's turned every frame from my clip into an individual TIFF file. And from here I'm going to add the files to my Lightroom library from their current location. Otherwise you can move them to another location that you specify inside of Lightroom, or you can copy them to a new folder. So I'm going to import them where they are. And now with them imported, I'm going to go to my develop module. And there's my first frame. So from here, we can go over and start looking through our adjustments. Now, my white balance, I think I'm fine with that as is. Here we have exposure, contrast, highlight, shadows, whites, and blacks. I am going to tinker around with these just a little bit. I'm going to bring down those highlights all the way. And if I bring those back and forth, you can see that I'm really bringing out the information in this area, in the grass area, with those highlights down all the way. Shadows, I'm going to crush those just a little bit. Maybe bring up my whites just a tad. Bring down the blacks. Clarity, I'm going to up my clarity quite a bit. And then vibrance, I'm going to bring down. Just bring down those colors. And there are a lot of other things you can play with. There's a tone curve. There are some color effects, split toning, which I'm actually going to play with just for the fun of it. Do a little orange, blue, split tone. And I'm going to bring down their saturation just so it's not quite as apparent. Going down, we have sharpening, noise reduction, lens correction, effects, and I'm going to add a little bit of a vignette. Just play around with these settings until I get something I like. That looks pretty good. And then grain, I think I am going to give it just a tiny, tiny bit of grain. That looks good. Alright, so as you can see, it's incredibly easy just to go through the list here of your adjustments and get something that you like. So what do we do from here? Well, we need to copy the settings from this one frame and paste them onto all the other frames. So the easiest way to do that is to hold Control-Shift-C or Command-Shift-C on a Mac, and I just have all of my settings selected. I'm going to hit copy, and then I'm going to go back to my library module, hit Control A or Command A, Control Shift or Command Shift V, and that will paste the settings onto all of my files. So from here, now that we have all of our settings pasted, as you can see, we need to export these again. So with them all selected, I'm going to hit export, and I'm going to put them in the same folder as my original folder. That's the folder where all the TIFFs were originally, and I'm going to call this folder edit, the subfolder, to store all of these. All of my other settings look good. I'm exporting as a TIFF, 16-bit bit depth, sRGB. Everything else looks good, so I'm going to export. Now with all my photos exported, we're going to go back into Premiere Pro, and I'm going to create a new sequence. And my files were originally 720p at 24 frames, so that's what I'm going to select. And then I'm going to import my files. Here they are, the ones I just edited. I'm actually going to import this entire folder. And now here's all our files. And I'm going to hit Control A to select all. Now you can see that by default, when you import a still, Adobe Premiere Pro defaults to 5 seconds for each still. So we want to change that so that each still is 1 frame long. So to do that, with them all selected, I'm going to right click, go to speed duration. I'm going to change this from 5 seconds to 1 frame. Hit OK. And now I'm going to drag all of these down to my new sequence. And just so we get some smoother playback, I'm going to go up to Sequence and Render Effects. Now as I play this back, you can see that even though they're individual frames, it is a smooth playback, and we've brought back information over in here in the hat. We have the effect that we want, a nice desaturated, higher contrast image. Now what are the downsides to this? Well, if you're inside of Lightroom, there's no way to play back your footage as you're doing your color correction or your color grade. That is one downside. The other downside is the number of times you have to import and export files. There isn't any kind of dynamic linking between Adobe Premiere Pro and Lightroom, or any of the other video applications, unfortunately. But as you can see, Lightroom is really powerful and does an incredible job of giving the look that you want. And once you're in Lightroom, it's really a minimal amount of time that you're spending in there to get a look. Well, that's it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.